you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Taylor.
You guys got a good group out there?
We do. We have a great group of Patriots.
We always have a great group.
Oh, that's awesome. I got to say, I'm a little surprised, although I shouldn't be that surprised on Super Bowl Sunday that there's a group of people out there. That's awesome. I was kind of curious. I'm like, I wonder if people are going to take the vigil or take the Super Bowl tonight. It sounds like the vigil wins out.
Yeah, Super Freedom Corner.
Yeah, this is Super Freedom Corner, and it's way more exciting than the Super Bowl. Than the ultra divisive Super Bowl.
We're so limited to what we can watch in here that at a certain point you're just kind of like stuck watching liberal news, and you don't want to give them ratings, but like how else do you get information, right? And so we are watching the Super Bowl tonight, and it's quite hilarious because, as you can imagine, we're all rooting for the San Francisco 49ers. So go Niners.
Go Niners.
What about Taylor?
We're all kind of like, we're sick of Taylor Swift. So tired of her.
What about Taylor?
Anyway, it's really great to talk to you guys again tonight. There's a couple things I wanted to share tonight, and I was very, very touched yesterday when was it Jan who spoke to me? Was that his name? Jan?
Yeah.
I was young. Is that right? Okay. I was very touched. Thank you so much. I was very, very touched by your words. I felt very gratified, and I felt a great sense of satiation that, to some degree, my words have had an impact on somebody, and perhaps even more than one person. When I was a young man, I was 19 years old, and I was walking the streets of Brazil on a mission for the Mormon Church, and it was something that I took great pleasure in doing, in dedicating that time of my life to doing that. And one day, as I was learning the Portuguese language, learning a new language as a 19, 20-year-old is a difficult thing to do. And anybody, especially a lot of the Chinese American community, you understand learning a new language is very difficult. It's very difficult to do. But in the process of doing that, one of the things that I found was that I learned my own language much better. I learned things about the English language that I would have never learned had I not had to learn a lot of things in a whole new language. And one day I was walking along the road with one of my missionary companions, and I learned the difference between the word efficient and the word effective. The word efficient is kind of like the machine gun. It's very efficient. You get the message out. Oh, San Francisco 49ers scored a touchdown. But anyway, go 49ers. But a machine gun's very efficient, right? It sends a lot of lead downfield, but who knows if it really hits the target, right? It's just the idea of get as much down and you'll get what you get. And then there's efficient, which is like a sniper. One bullet, one target, right? And I realized that in life, there's times to be efficient and there's times to be effective. And I found for myself that when I make my objective to simply live to truth, that oftentimes you lose efficiency, but you gain effectiveness. And there's an author that I quite enjoy recently, and I've spoken about her a couple times. Her name is Ayn Rand. Some people love her, some people hate her, which is the way of most things in the world. But in her introduction to the book The Fountainhead, which was her work that she did prior to Atlas Shrugged, she wrote this in it, and she's referring to her book, The Fountainhead. But in this book, Fountainhead, it explores the glory of man, and it explores the idea of a man that's self-sufficient and doesn't need other people to give praise or live for other people, but lives for his own sake. And this is what she says. She says, "It does not matter that only a few in each generation will grasp and achieve the full reality of man's proper stature, and that the rest will betray it. It is those few that move the world and give life its meaning. It is those few that I have always sought to address. The rest are no concern of mine. It is not me or the Fountainhead, her book, that they will betray. It is their own souls." And if there's anything that I hope to get out of what I do share with you guys is that people will grasp your proper stature. Some of the things that I like to express are the fact that we have a choice. No matter what happens in life, whatever happens to us, we have a choice. We always have a choice. And that is our last and only freedom that we ultimately have. And when we recognize that, and when we own our choices, we become truly free. And when you have a free people, then you can start to have bravery, courage, and so many of those other things. And one of the things we have to recognize is that we are free. Though things happen to us, it's we who choose how we respond that makes all the difference in the world. And I just loved how she says this. It's not me that they will betray, it's their own souls. And so while this might be a very efficient means, there's a lot of people listening, I understand that at the end of the day, it's always the very few who learn the efficiency, the effectiveness. And it's the few that within the sound of my voice that will be able to make a difference. And you never know, and this is the other thing, you never know when you are the difference maker.
Amen. That's right.
Yesterday I was very touched because I always wonder if I am the difference maker, and I don't know that I am, but I can't assume that I am or am not. But it was a moment for me yesterday to hear him speaking to me, to realize that I am making a difference, and it made me want to continue on.
Amen.
And to continue to fight this fight in a rhetorical sense. And so I really appreciate it, and thank you very much. I also wanted to expand on this concept of the word remember. I wrote a little something here that's going to be posted on the Peasant's Perspective. It'll also be in the Breakfast Club newsletter, and it goes like this: remember. Engraved on the inside of my wedding band is the most powerful word of all. It's lembreci, which is Portuguese. My wife and I met in Brazil, coincidentally, for the word remember. It is upon the word remember that all knowledge is based. It is remembering what brought pain or pleasure that directs the instinct of man. Remembering takes the lessons of the past, applies them to the present, so that we may better choose our future. Those who seek control want to get you to forget. History repeats itself to those who do not remember its lessons and patterns. Those whose fruit is bitter want you to forget the awful taste and take another bite. Remember why we fought for freedom. Remember why we died for rights. Remember what price was paid for truth, and we will never go astray. If we forget, we must experience every pain again, every price paid twice or more, and truth will be forgotten. Remember who, what, when, where, and why, and the future will be smooth sailing. Government is built on consent. Do we remember what that means? We would be wise to remember the landmark Supreme Court case, Erie versus Tompkins. And then on Peasant's Perspective, you'll be able to read the actual reference on where to find it, which holds that there is no federal general common law. It's all commercial, remember. And the reason I put that on there is one of the things that we kind of get trapped into as Americans is we think that we have to do anything. There's no tie that binds us without our own consent. And according to the Supreme Court in the landmark case, Erie versus Tompkins, which is 1938, all law is commercial. And when law is commercial, it means we have a choice. And that is the most critical thing of all. And that's what I think we need to remember as Americans, is that we have a choice. Right. We have a choice in how we consent to things. We have a choice in the way we do things. And it's both individually and collectively, we have choices.
Amen. That's right. Amen. Thank you so much, Taylor. You know, you do reach a lot of people, and your words are very strong, and I think that you are serving a great purpose, a greater purpose than you realize, because I know that your words affect me and everyone that stands out here on the corner. Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Taylor. I'm here again. This is Young. I just want you to know that we are facing such a dead silence. You are the best whistleblowers we can have. You make your point clear and loud. We just make sure we can be the amplifier to match your speak, to amplify your voice. That's all we can do.
Yes.
Keep your good fight. We'll be here all as long as you keep going, keep rolling. Let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you so much. One of the things that is very emotional, hearing your words, but one of the things is I am not attached to the outcome. I know what my direction is in life. I know what my purpose is, and there's nothing that's going to dissuade that. I've felt lots of pain before. I've lost a child. I've been through a bankruptcy. I've been through business partnerships that have not gone well, but I've also experienced the joys of life. And I'm very secure in my own skin. And while this is a big challenge, I don't really care what people think about me. And because I know what I think about myself. And if there's one thing that I can tell other people, is that every single person deserves happiness, and you deserve to pursue happiness in whatever means you want to pursue it. And that's part of what makes this American experiment so great. Is it enables each individually to be able to pursue their happiness. And when every single person is pursuing happiness, and these are big concepts, but when every single person pursues happiness, all the pieces fall into the puzzle. The tapestry of life is made complete. When we kick against that, when we fight against our own happiness, that's when we start to give into bitterness, and that's when you start having prosecutors who lie, government officials who become corrupt, and that's when you start to have so many problems in society, is when people forget that they deserve to be happy. When people go through a little bit of suffering and they don't stop to think that that suffering is what provides happiness. It's literally a dichotomy experience. You cannot have happiness without a little bit of bitterness, right? When people don't understand that when you want to achieve greatness, when you want to climb the mountain, your thighs are going to burn. It's going to take some work. You can't get to the top floor unless you walk up every step, right? And when you find joy in that journey, then things really start to change. The goals and objectives that I have in life, it astonishes me. It astonishes me that I stand where I stand today. Because, and I've said this to other people inside the pod before. One of the things I struggle with is trying not to be bitter, knowing that this is exactly where I am supposed to be. Coincidentally, to save the prisoner, you must go into the prison. And when I have conversations with some of the men in here, and I share some of the thoughts I have, and I can actually see in their eyes a light start to glow, the turning away from desperation, because it's very easy to become desperate inside of a jail. And when I see that start to happen, I think to myself, this is why.
That's right.
This is why I had to be here. And it's very difficult to think about that, to think about the weight of the government bearing down on me, the government, which I truly love. I love this country. You know, I rail against the nation because she could do better. But I do love this land, and I love her people. And it's sad to me that we're in the state that we're in. But I also know that individually, it won't change until I change. And it won't change until we start to share with each other how we individually can change, right? A rising tide raises all ships. When everybody makes the choice to do right in every moment, then we will finally start to do right as a society and as a nation. But when we leave to make right decisions on our behalf, we leave it to others to be our saviors, that's when we go astray, because that other person may be a wolf in sheep's clothing, so to use that allegory. So just everybody out there, just keep up the good work, do what you can. When you feel inspired to do something, take action on it. When you feel inspired to make a call, when you feel inspired to share one of these visual links or some other random podcast that provides good information, right? Follow it. See where that journey takes you, right? Pursue your happiness. Do what makes you feel right. Do what makes you feel fulfilled. Don't worry about money. Don't worry about all the little worries and doubts that can creep in for everything you're doing. Right? I'm sure the people who put on this visual, you wonder some nights if it's worth it. You wonder if this hell is ever actually going to end. But you don't necessarily know the joy until you experience the bitterness, right? When this finally wraps itself up, hopefully we don't become the very thing we hate and just turn the gun upon our neighbors, right? Hopefully
You have 1 minute remaining.
But those are choices that we each individually will have to make, and then when we individually make them, collectively we become unbreakable. And that's the beauty of America, is it allows us to be individual, and we still are that. This is why I brought up the Erie versus Tompkins Supreme Court case. It's important that people understand, in our country, everything's commercial, which means you have choice. You have the right to make or not make a contract, and that is where our consent lies. Our consent lies. So thank you very much, guys. I love you so much. As always, givesandgo.com/Johnatakis Family Home. And thank you for everything you're doing.
You're back.
Thank you, Taylor.
Love
Thank you.
you.
Good night.
Bye.